I am Janelle Breeze-Biagioni. I'm the CEO of the Constable Gerald Breeze Center for Traumatic Life Losses. And our initiative this year is the Heads Together think tank, which is our opportunity to bring together as many people as possible in British Columbia to talk about the intersections of mental health, addiction, and brain injury, how that impacts an individual and also their family, and what we need to do to develop a provincial service delivery plan so that services are accessible, barrier-free to not only the survivor, but to include family members as well, and that they get the help that they need when they need it, for however long they need it. So I'm joined today by Cathy and Ross. Now, Cathy, both Cathy and Ross, like we kind of stumbled on each other through another event, Survive, Strive, Thrive, which is a brain injury conference put on by the Cridge Center for the Family. And then Cathy was quickly recruited into our committee there to help plan that conference, which unfortunately due to COVID this year wasn't held. But it was an opportunity for me then to scoop Cathy to come over to help with the Heads Together think tank. So Cathy has been on the committee for the Real People, Real Stories segment, which is airing on October 20th. She will be joined by her daughter, Christine, on that panel discussion. And I'm excited about that and encourage everybody who's listening today to go over to the website, headstogetherthinktank.com, and register. Super easy. Once you register once, you're in all 4 events. They are free to attend. They will be recorded. They'll put back on the website. But we want people to attend and engage because we will have some questions. We'll have some engagement on the actual day. So we want people to be part of it. So thanks for joining me today, Cathy and Ross. And let's start with you, Cathy. How has it been for you to be involved on the committee to plan an event that would speak about such personal stories of individuals who've been impacted by brain injury?
It was tough. We're 5 years after Ross's brain injury, and sort of we've finally come to a place where we're both doing really well. And so working on the committee, I talked a lot about a lot of things that happened over the past 5 years, and that was tough. But at the same time, it was really reassuring to see how far we've come in the 5 years with the support of my work through the Cridge, the SST conference, and getting to know some very wonderful people on that committee. So I overall, wonderful experience.
And what was intriguing for me was that you very much were interested in being on the planning, kind of behind the scenes. And through that, you emerged to come forward to be on the panel and be part of the public event.
Yeah.
So big transformation.
I had to turn things around so that I wasn't talking about Ross and his injury, that I could talk about me and my journey from over the last 5 years. So once I sort of figured out what I could talk about, then I was agreeable to.
Well, I got to tell you right now, I wouldn't be here to where I am today without this woman.
Yeah, we're a team, Ross. 40 years we've been through ups and downs, and
yeah. So for you, Ross, what does this feel like to have your family step forward and be basically becoming advocates in British Columbia to say that individuals with brain injury matter, their families matter, and we need help? How does that feel for you?
No, it feels good. I got I got 3 amazing daughters. They support me to the max. And the sad thing is this, it's like I brought this on myself. It's like this brain injury was self-induced through alcohol and drug abuse. It's like, so I have a lot of guilt. I have a lot of guilt.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I know that takes a lot of courage to just say what you said. And I know that that's been a challenge for you and a challenge for your family. And I applaud all of you for being together and doing what you can to heal your family and to move life forward. And so it is your story, Ross, and your family's story that will actually give hope to other people, because you are together and you are a family. And Christine's coming on Monday, on October 20th. Sorry, I'm going to chat with her on Monday, but on October 20th to talk about that. That gives people hope to know that, you know what, we're not the only family going through this. There are other people out there. And so part of our work is wanting to connect families with families and survivors with survivors to talk and share their story.
Yeah.
Right? And what works and what's not working and what's tricky. So I appreciate that you said that you feel a lot of guilt around that. And certainly, that's not something, that we're, going to address just in our conversation, but, for you to look at the bigger picture of what you're doing now and having that voice, how important that's going to be. So I know, Ross, you have had some support through the Victoria Brain Injury Society, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah. And what has that meant to you to have that support at a local level?
It was good. I mean, it was good off the bat, man. It was, went in there and got some education on brain injuries, and it's like, oh, well, that's why that's going on.
Right.
So like, it gave me some insight to what was going on. So that was great. It was like a really good situation there.
And then for you, when you and Cathy, and then you can answer this as well, when you both came to Survive, Strive, Thrive, what was it that you hoped to find out there? And maybe what was it that you learned from that conference that changed things for you?
You want to answer that?
I don't have an answer for that. Jeez, that's a tough question.
So we went 2 years after Ross's injury, and at that time I was feeling pretty hopeless. It was just it was overwhelming, and things weren't getting better, and I went to that, and there were some very powerful speakers, and there were people that were 5 years out, 7 years out, 20 years out, who just, they gave me hope. And I walked away from that day just being so grateful that I had been there and heard those stories and knew that, things change and things can get better or they can get worse. But, those stories really made me feel like, the world hadn't ended and things were going to be okay. They were going to be different, but they were going to be okay. So that's what I got out of it.
So, Cathy, for you as a wife and a mother, grandmother, and somebody who is still working, what's it been like for you to navigate, to find supports and services for Ross and or your family through this?
Well, she's done an amazing job. No, I'm serious. She has done an amazing job.
You are so emotional today. You, the turning point for me was when I was introduced to Jennifer, who was doing a practicum at the Cridge in counseling, and Jennifer validated everything I was doing, and whether I was doing things that were harmful to me, like drinking too much wine at night, she told me that I needed to do what I needed to do to get through the day. And when I worked with Jennifer, she gave me back Ross's injury.
I like Jennifer too.
Yeah,
Just like I talked to her about all of this stuff.
She helped out both of us. And Ross's injury rattled me to the core. I completely fell apart. If it hadn't been for the two girls that were in Canada who were by my side for the 6 weeks that he was in hospital, I don't know what I would have done. But I was surprised at my reaction, because I've always been very strong when I needed to be, and I just couldn't with this. And so it rattled my self-esteem about who I was and what I was capable of doing. And I took time off work. And when I went back to work, I went back too soon. So I made mistakes, and I lost the trust of my supervisor. And the job just became challenging and very unrewarding. But I had a wonderful group of colleagues which kept me going back every day. They were my support. They listened to me. They held me up and all of those things. But with working
and
with...
she had her lovely husband here to remind her every day why she needed to go to work and make some money, because my God, we cannot afford to live here unless you got a job.
Exactly.
Because I can't work anymore.
That's right. Anyway, so Jennifer convinced me that I could go on to bigger and better things. And in my time with her, I applied for my current job, which has been, and I've been there 9 months. Every day is it's just a wonderful place to work. I'm trusted. I'm supported. My contributions are acknowledged. So that's been the best thing for me. And I'm slowly, well, COVID sort of slowed it down a bit, but I'm slowly coming back into myself, finding my interests again. I've joined a book club.
And what you both have to say is so important to, again, what I said, of giving hope to other families that, life is different, but it can be good. And you obviously can laugh together and, lighten things up a little bit, because you know what, it's hard enough. Yeah. And again, I can't thank you enough, Cathy, for being a part of the planning committee for the Real People, Real Stories, and for you and Christine coming on to share what it's like as a family, and to give some insight provincially as to what families could use and what survivors need to be able to move life forward, and to discover who they are now, and to have meaningful work and meaningful activities in their life, and to foster the relationships that they have, because it is stressful, and there's a lot of strain that's put on the families, right? So I appreciate it. So again, I just want to encourage everybody to go over to headstogetherthinktank.com and get registered. And you will hear Cathy and her daughter Christine speak on October 20th. And then we have other sessions on research and prevention, rehabilitation and community supports, and reinforcing communities. So we are covering large topics. People can, once you're on the website, you can join communities and be part of our discussions that we are starting to go through now. And then after the events also, we'll be having those conversations, and all of this information will be taken back to the government. So I want to thank both of you again for joining me today and being a part of this. So I look forward to your session and chatting with you, and I'll see you again, Ross, and I appreciate you stepping forward today and having a conversation with me as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll be in touch with you. Okay, thank you.